Hello everybody, how's it going? Today we're going to take a look at the Mini Slim Pickins from Alliance Designs. It came in this pouch. I'm not sure if it comes in a box or not. Originally, I bought this on the secondary market, so all I got was this pouch. But it's a nice pouch, and well, I'll get into this in a second, but I'll set this off to the side here. So, this is the Mini Slim Pickins. It's a really nice little button lock. You got a flipper tab, and of course your button lock. So the action on this bad boy, action is pretty good. I gotta say, as far as button locks go, this has a really nice action. The detent is dialed in really nice. Nice snappy flip. Works well with the button as well. This comes with a secondary detent. I'll take it out of the bag so you can see it easier. So this is the secondary detent. Right here you can see the detent ball. Right there. So this just screws to the inside of the handle. And it gives you a secondary detent. So that increases the detent strength. The flip is a little snappier because it is dealing with an actual detent at that point, but it's not as smooth and it's not as drop shutty. Like, I don't know if you can see that. I got a different setup here with my camera. It's on like a whole thing here. Anyways, I can't see exactly what I'm recording, but yeah, so hopefully this is on the screen, but yeah, you can see it's very smooth. So yeah, I prefer the action without the secondary detent. When I bought the knife, it didn't have the secondary detent installed. I took it apart and installed the secondary detent and immediately took it back out again because it's just, I didn't like the action. So this has a really nice action for me. Of all the button locks, I haven't tried that many button locks, but I've tried a few, and I think this has the best button lock action that I've experienced, especially without that secondary detent in there. The only thing that I can complain about as far as the action goes is this flipper tab is very minimal. There's not much to it. There is some jimping on the top, so it's not like my finger slips off really easy. But it is a very small flipper tab. So sometimes I miss the flip, but for the most part it does work. However, it's not the most comfortable flipper tab. I prefer just to use the button and just flip it open this way. It's easier when I'm not underneath the camera. But yeah, I prefer to flip it that way. The other thing I find is when I'm holding it to use the flipper tab, this end of the knife right here, it's fairly pointy. It's not sharp by any means, but it's fairly pointy. And when I have that in my palm, it really kind of digs in a bit. So it's not as comfortable to use the flipper tab. I just prefer to use the button itself. One thing that kept me from buying this knife for the longest time, because I've had my eye on one of these for quite a while, was the ergos. Some videos I've seen on YouTube, they say that the ergos are great, and some people say that the ergos aren't great. So I wasn't sure, if I was going to like it or not. But after I use my left hand, because that's what I actually hold the knife in, after owning this and using it, it actually is very comfortable. There's some jimping up here, so that's where my thumb lands. I put my index finger here, and the rest of my fingers go right there on the handle. And this feels really good. Some people run into problems with this area right here. You try to put your fingers in there, and it's just, you gotta choke up. This is too far away from the blade. This doesn't even make sense. You gotta choke up with this. And you could come up into the the sharpening choil, but it doesn't really, I don't know, that doesn't work that great. You might as well just go right here. And yeah, it feels good. Feels good. Feels good. But yeah, pocket clip. I don't really notice it as much of a hot spot. It's obviously it's not a hot spot at all on my left hand. But if I hold it in my right hand, and if I was to use it with my right hand, I don't really, I mean, again, I'm not using this really hard, so it's hard to say, but I don't think it would be that bad of a hot spot at all. I don't think it would be much of an issue. But I definitely don't notice it with my left hand. However, I do have to be careful because this button does stick out fairly proud of the handle. So when I'm using it, I have to make sure I don't squeeze because it could disengage it. I notice that you can kind of hear it now, but it's really not that bad. Like, I'm not going to be using it that hard that it's going to be disengaging the lock. So I'm really not that worried about it. If you use it with your right hand, your thumb might hit this. So, you know, depends. You gotta be careful with it. If you put your thumb up here and hold like that, yeah, there's nothing really gonna hit that button. So I don't think it's a safety issue at all, but just something to be aware of. You can come in contact with that button, and you might be able to disengage the lock if you're using it hard. Now, as far as the carry goes, it carries quite well in the pocket. It's not a very deep carry. You've got about that much of the knife sticking out of your pocket. Like I said before, the flipper tab is very minimal, so if you slide your hand in there, you're really not going to get, it's not going to poke you that much. So it carries quite well in the pocket. It cuts quite well. It's a hollow grind, so it is slicey. It does cut quite well. Let's do some measurements here. So the blade stock is 3.5 millimeters thick. Let's see, the handle is, let's get this to inches, 0.53 inches thick. If you include the pocket clip, it's 0.7 inches thick. Now let's get a ruler out here. Whoop, there we go. Okay, ruler, let's see here. The blade length, 2.75 inches. And let's flip this closed. The handle length. How am I going to measure this? It's been a long time since I've done a kind of a review style video here. It's about 4¼ inches long. So, good size handle. Kind of a small blade for the size of the handle, but that's kind of the design, right? Kind of like a modified sheep's foot type of thing. And the grip area, you've got about 3.5 inches of grip area there, so maybe a little bit more of a rough idea of it. As far as the design goes, I've always loved this design. I think that would be my favorite thing about the knife. I like the blade shape. You know, it's kind of like a sheep's foot Warncliffe type of a thing. The swedge up here. The handle shape is really nice. It's just a really nice looking knife. This is the Cobra edition, so you've got like black PVD handles with backspacer, black pocket clip, brass accents, carbon fiber with like brass infused. I really do like the design. It does look really nice. The action is really nice and smooth, snappy. The ergos are a lot better than I thought they'd be. They are pretty good. So I am happy with the knife. I think it's worth checking out. It's just a really solid button lock with a really interesting design. But anyways, for now, that should do. It's just my thoughts on the knife. Let me know in the comments section what you think of this design. Button locks are pretty popular these days, so let me know what you think of button locks in general. And I'll catch you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.